All eyes on the Lone Star State. The Senate seat is up for grabs as a veteran incumbent faces his toughest primary yet. Redrawn maps are shaking up Congress, while a wide-open race for Attorney General transforms the power structure in Austin. The polls, the players, the path to victory. This is Battleground Texas.
Hello, I'm Greg Grugan in Houston. Early voting ends tomorrow, and while turnout is generally low in terms of overall numbers, this year there has seen a massive surge in participation over other similar midterm cycles. More than 747,000 Democrats and 669,000 Republicans have voted so far. In the congressional races, the Texas Tribune reports there is a closely contested battle out in West Texas, where Representative Jody Arrington is retiring from his District 19 seat. Candidate Tom Sella is leaning into his local agricultural ties, while Abraham Enriquez is running a campaign centered almost entirely on his connection to President Trump. In District 34, the GOP primary between Mayra Flores and Eric Flores is intensifying down in South Texas. Mayra Flores is touting her battle scars from past runs, while Eric Flores argues a new face is needed to flip the seat from Democrat Vicente Gonzalez in November. And Governor Greg Abbott has been active on the policy and economic front. Today he announced a $1.2 billion investment from MP Materials to build a rare earth magnet manufacturing campus in Northlake, a project expected to create more than 1,500 jobs. Now let me bring in my colleagues Stephen Dial in Dallas and Rudy Koski in Austin. Rudy, what you watching?
You know, on our local radar, I noticed today how Austin Congressman Greg Casar pushed out an op-ed piece. He wrote about how great it was for him to spend time with his newborn child recently, traveling back and forth between congressional votes. Casar's think piece is an attempt to link the benefits of paid time off from work to the Democrat campaign issue of affordability, but his article getting some quick pushback on his social media sites, with some comments noting how Congress members have a really nice health care plan.
All right, Stephen, what can you bring to our table?
Well, you know, everyone is just really looking at early voting. 2 days left. By the time people get home from work, 1 day left of early voting. So turnout is still something that I am continuing to look at. And I am coming to you guys live from the UTD campus because James Tallarico, state representative running for U.S. Senate, just wrapped up his rally about an hour ago. And the shake hands, take picture line is still going on. So a couple dozen students still doing that. But I spoke to him moments ago about the campaign. We're the same age. When we were getting ready for kindergarten, that's the last time a Democrat has won statewide in Texas. What makes this year so different?
Well, there is a growing backlash to the extremism and the corruption in our government. We're seeing it everywhere we go across the state of Texas. We saw it here at UTD. We saw it in Tyler, Texas, where we had 1,000 people show up 2 nights ago. We are going to every part of our state. We are seeing this backlash growing, and we're building a movement that is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom. It's working people coming together across all these divides to take on the folks at the top who've been screwing us over.
You've been drawing some pretty large crowds. You had a large crowd here. Are you confident that that's going to translate to a lot of people showing up at the polls voting for you?
I am, and I think you're already seeing it. The number of young people who are showing up to vote in this primary is unprecedented. The number of young people who have never voted before who are showing up to vote is unprecedented. So this movement that we're building has already been bearing fruit, and I think we're going to surprise a lot of people on election night.
Every day it seems to be another poll.
Yeah.
Do you look at these polls, or, I mean, what do you make of yesterday a poll had you down, today a poll has you up? Where do you think this race is right now?
The only poll that matters is on election day. And so I want everyone to show up and vote, make their voice heard, whether you're going to vote for me or not. I want you to take advantage of your God-given rights at the ballot box.
A lot of money has been spent in this race. It's the most expensive Senate primary. You have been, on the attack talking about PACs. I know you don't coordinate with PACs, but there are PACs that support you. A lot of money's been spent in this race. You've benefited from that. What would your response be to someone who says, I see Tallarico stuff everywhere?
Well, there's attacks that are supporting me. There's PACs that are supporting me, PACs that are against me. It's why I think we need to ban super PACs. It's what I want to do in the U.S. Senate, so we don't have this kind of crazy spending in our elections. And what I think people want is comprehensive political reform to get this kind of big money out of our politics. That's exactly what I'll fight for in the U.S. Senate.
Governor Abbott yesterday posted a digital ad. It prominently features Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, your opponent. Do you think Republicans or Governor Abbott is trying to prop up the Congresswoman because they think they have a better shot against her?
Well, this is not the only time that we've seen Republicans meddling in this primary. They did it at the very beginning of the primary fight, and they're doing it now. I would tell every Republican elected official to stay out of our business and stay out of our primary.
Meantime, here in Houston, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett hung the hypocrisy label on Tallarico for his loud and proud claim of rejecting PAC money, as millions of dollars worth of PAC-funded ads supporting his campaign carpet-bombed the Texas airwaves. Your opponent, James Tallarico, claims he doesn't take PAC money. Heck, Christian Menifee doesn't take PAC money. He says he doesn't. And yet, we know that there is coordination between the campaigns and these PACs that are running all the ads. Is it disingenuous, particularly for James Tallarico, to say he doesn't take PAC money and yet his campaign is coordinating with those PACs?
So legally, no candidate is allowed to coordinate. We are allowed to signal, and it has been clear that he is signaled to these outside super PACs that typically billionaires are the ones that are putting the money into. And so it does feel like hypocrisy to have an entire platform that is based on getting big money out of politics, that talks about dark money, yet right now seemingly is begging and begging and begging dark money to go ahead and pour in. Specifically, we learned in the most recent FEC filing that one of the people that has put in $500,000 into this super PAC is someone that is in the Epstein files. For me, as someone who has been leading the charge as it relates to accountability for those that are in the Epstein files, and trying to make sure that ultimately we can have bad guys prosecuted no matter who they are, it has been really concerning that someone who is in the Epstein files is now donating in such large amounts of money to this super PAC that is meant to benefit my primary opponent.
That Epstein file political player bankrolling the pro-Tallarico PAC is reportedly Reid Hoffman, the billionaire co-founder of LinkedIn. Okay, Stephen, Crockett contends Tallarico's boilerplate pledge to clean up corruption in D.C. looks pretty two-faced when he's simultaneously collaborating with billionaire-funded super PACs. Solid argument there or sour grapes?
It's a solid argument, and it's because, I mean, let's look at it. This is the most expensive Senate primary in history. That's a lot of money being spent, and a lot of that money is coming from PACs. And so we hear this from multiple candidates of they want to ban PACs once they get in. And so, yeah, we can get into the back and forth of if you're coordinating, you're not supposed to coordinate. The thing is, there are PACs that are funding these ads that are blanking the airwaves. And so, yeah, it's a talking point for him. I don't know if that will be the talking point that will make someone vote for him or against him.
All right, Rudy, this whole I don't take PAC money is pretty farcical in my view. Is there any doubt in your mind that campaigns communicate and coordinate with these so-called independent super PACs?
Yeah, of course they do. You know, every election cycle we hear about sinister dark money and outside meddling in races. And now we have the New York Times telling us that ads from the governor, which includes Jasmine Crockett in a group of so-called radical Democrats, as underhanded way of propping up her campaign. No secret Republicans would like to see her on the November ballot, and it's celebrated that she got in a race. But the argument of outside meddling by Crockett, you know, it does sound a lot like sour grapes. Greg?
All right, stay with us, everybody. Plenty more of Battleground Texas after the break. Welcome back. Politics in Texas has always been a full contact sport. And yet the level of brutality in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate has reached a level that I've seen even the most hard-boiled practitioners wince and look away from. Exhibit A, the latest head roller aimed at Ken Paxton by the National Republican Senatorial Committee.
So let's cut through the bullshit. Crooked Ken Paxton cheated on his wife. She's divorcing him on biblical grounds. So now Paxton's wrecking another home, sleeping around with a married mother of 7. And remember this, Crooked Ken has increased his net worth by as much as 7,000% since taking office. And his actions in office, even more troubling. Paxton gave millions of Texas tax dollars to left-wing organizations.
Woo, ouch. Stephen? Team Cornyn has run over Paxton on the character issues, backed up, and then run over him again time after time, only to see the AG rise from the rubble, kind of like the Terminator, bashed, bent, but still on his feet, with the I just don't care what he did GOP base, moving forward in a sort of relentless battle of ideological attrition. Agree? Disagree?
For sure. And I mean, let's look. Ken Paxton is a lot like President Trump. He's Teflon in some people's eyes. No matter what happens, no matter what allegations have been lodged against him, he kind of just comes back. I mean, this man survived an impeachment. He survived, his staffers blowing the whistle on him. He continues to be able to stand on his feet. And so we'll have to see in this one. This one is the most important race of his life, or of his political career. He says John Cornyn is only focusing on his personal life. And then today, Ken Paxton out with a personal family ad. Greg?
All right, Rudy. It's kind of been amazing to watch the bottomless get out of immorality jail free cards Paxton gets from the so-called God-fearing hard right. I liked your analogy this week comparing the scoundrel attack ads against Paxton to a sledgehammer hitting concrete, slowly denting and chipping his support. Now, regardless of who wins, when the dust settles, can Republicans circle the wagons, bury their dead, and make peace before the midterms?
Wow, that was a picture there. If Paxton wins the nomination, several GOP leaders have already made it very clear defending the Senate seat will be difficult, and that effort will suck a lot of money away from other critical battlegrounds, not only here in Texas, but nationally. And it's bad news when Texas Republicans like Dan Patrick, Jeff Leach, who probably are not swapping Christmas cards, right? Both made recent public statements about fence mending and the need to energize the base for the November general election. It's tough times right now for the GOP. Greg?
Okay, we will leave it there, but don't go away. Battleground Texas will be right back. There's an ongoing debate in Texas and across the country regarding the venerable practice by major newspapers of first vetting, then endorsing political candidates. While some say the value of that process is negligible, the Houston Chronicle is committed to proving those detractors wrong. I sat down with the publication's editorial chief, Evan Mintz, to discuss key races and the candidates they view as best qualified to serve and deliver. Evan Mintz, the Chronicle editorial board, has looked at the candidates for United States Senate on the Republican side. What was your call?
Our call was longtime Senator John Cornyn, and part of the argument was the same argument we were making with Democrats. Do you want to win or not? John Cornyn performs well in general elections. He's a known entity, but he is also an incredible senator. A bill cannot move through the Senate without John Cornyn getting his hand on it one way or another. And that means nothing is getting out of the Senate without it benefiting Texas or at least not hurting us. He's one of the most important people up there. Now, I know there are some Trump supporters who think he isn't MAGA enough. And sometimes I feel it's a little bit like putting together a heist team. You've got your face, you've got your muscle, but you need the smart guy. You need the clever guy. There's not a lot of legislative experts up there who are really working for Team MAGA, and John Cornyn has been that guy. You don't want to lose him.
All right. In the race for Texas 2, we have four-term incumbent Dan Crenshaw, the former Navy SEAL, who is leading the House effort in terms of combating the cartels. He's facing longtime Texas House Representative Steve Toth, who is, I think by any definition, very far to the right. How did you see that race?
You know, when Dan Crenshaw first ran, he was a bit of a minor celebrity. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was getting attention. And we wrote at the time that we were concerned he was going to be more of a show horse than a workhorse. We were wrong. He has been an incredible representative. He's done what you really want a good representative to do. He has fought for his district. He's gotten a lot of funds to help deal with flooding. At the same time, he's become something of an expert on national and international issues relevant to his constituents, like you said, taking on cartels. You should not want to get rid of him.
Evan, a hard-fought primary on the Republican side for Attorney General to be Ken Paxton's successor. Who'd you pick?
Well, it was an obvious pick for us, Joan Huffman. She's a state senator, represented Houston for a long time. Before that, she was a judge in Harris County. She has been a critical workhorse in the Senate, passing important bills, working on criminal justice issues, and she's serious, and she will work with the legislature as Attorney General to tackle a lot of the problems we're facing in the state. Usually the AG's office doesn't do a lot of criminal work, but she has a lot of interesting creative ideas to pair civil enforcement with criminal enforcement and basically just make sure she's doing the job after having a lot of scandal with Ken Paxton in that position.
Okay, Rudy, you've been following newspaper endorsements in Central Texas. What's on your radar?
Hey, Greg, two notable endorsements. One, a pullback. It came from San Antonio Express News last week. They backed off their initial backing of Congressman Tony Gonzalez because of that terrible allegations of extramarital affair. And there was an eye catcher here in Austin with the Austin American Statesman deciding not to give an endorsement to longtime incumbent John Carter in that congressional race. Greg?
All right, Stephen, the Houston Chronicle takes a pretty pragmatic approach before endorsing, as in what I call proof of performance. And the marks they award are pretty high for Cornyn, Crenshaw, and Huffman. Does past performance even matter in this current environment, Stephen?
I mean, we are in different times, and to pull a quote from State Representative James Talrico earlier today, he said, you know, there was once a time where your MAGA uncle and you could sit at a table and have a decent conversation, and in his words, we are, quote, now in two different worlds. We are in different worlds. And so past performance, past actions, man, nowadays I don't know what is up from down, Greg.
All right, stay with us. More Battleground Texas on the other side of this break. Welcome back. The battle for U.S. Senate is becoming a family affair, with Ken Paxton's daughter Maddie appearing in a campaign spot in support of her dad. She also wrote an op-ed published by Texas Scorecard in which she says, quote, "When his opponent can't win on policy, he goes after character. But anyone who has spent real time with my dad knows that the attacks bear no resemblance to the man they claim to describe. My dad is not perfect, none of us are, but he is a man of deep faith, genuine love for his family, and an unrelenting commitment to doing right by the people of Texas," end quote. Attorney General Ken Paxton is described by a loving daughter. Rudy, what do you got?
Well, Greg, we learned today that a grand jury in Cameron County on Wednesday did not indict anyone in connection to that fatal shooting of a San Antonio man who ran down a federal agent last year. The incident happening on South Padre Island, making headlines earlier this month. It was initially promoted as a government cover-up. The story fueled claims of excessive force from those who are upset with how the federal government is doing immigration enforcement. Greg?
All right, Stephen, lay it on us.
Let me lighten the mood a little, guys. I don't know how good you are with rap, but there was some rap beef this morning. This morning, Cardi B endorsed Jasmine Crockett, posted a video supporting Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate, and quickly, he must be up on his rap game or has a good team, because Ken Paxton tweeted he's a Nicki Minaj fan. He's a Nicki Minaj fan because she recently expressed wide support for President Trump. So a little fun in this race. I mean, I know there's a lot of mudslinging, but I like that the candidates are up on their pop culture. All right, that's all the time we have. To see this episode or any of our past ones, go to our station's YouTube channels.
You can keep the conversation going by going on our social media.
A lot to talk about tomorrow as conflict rages on the battleground. Trump in Texas. Will he pack along a few endorsements? And new research on how independent voters have become a big factor in the March primary. See you mañana. Vaya con Dios.